was just kidding. Come on. Come on. You guys know I was just kidding, right?
What's going on, you guys? My name is Noel, and welcome back to my YouTube channel where I talk about whatever I want to talk about. You know, it's been a while. I'm not going to get into it. We get it. Cameron's inconsistent with videos, and I make 2 videos every 2 months, and then I just go on hiatus for no reason. But yes, we're not here to talk about that. If you would like to follow me on social media, you can follow me on Instagram, or you can follow me on Twitter. Okay, maybe I made a rush do that. You know what? I'm gonna let them stay up on the video, on the camera, for however long they for however long they need to stay up for, and then we'll get into it. Alright, so we are back here once again talking about Bad Girls Club season, Bad Girls Club series that I do here, where I give my honest opinion on every Bad Girls Club season. I watch them one by one, talk about them, give my thoughts on the cast, the season as a whole, yada 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 yada. You know, if you know, you know. If you're here, you know why you're here. So we're gonna get into it. So here we are talking about BGC 15, which I honestly think, in my opinion, is Oxygen or Buell and Murray or Bad Girls Club most ambitious season, because it was sister season. Having 7 girls living in a house together is already wild enough, but then doubling that number and having 14 girls bring 2 pairs of sisters each is a very wild, not a wild concept, but very ambitious concept. I think BGC 15 is probably one of the better later seasons. Like, I'm gonna go on a limb and say that BGC 15 is probably, and I don't know, quote me on this because I don't remember what my ranking was for the Bad Girls Club seasons before this, but I feel like season 15 is probably the best season out of the later seasons. And when I say later seasons, I mean post season 11. Like, I think season 15 is probably the best out of seasons 11 through 17. I think 15 is like the best of the later seasons.
Yes.
And overall things I like about the season are, I like the comedy. Season 15 is very funny. And one thing I will say, the girls on this season had personality. Now, not all of them, you know, some of them, I will say that is probably one of the weaknesses of the season, because they have so many cast members on one season. Some of the girls fade into the background, and some of the girls just aren't interesting. And that's no shade, like, everybody is not reality TV gold. You know, there are certain people who just flourish on reality TV, who just have those personalities, that have that presence that makes you want to watch every single episode. And I'm not saying that that you gotta fight all the time, or curse people out all the time, or throw drinks. There's just some people who, when they get on reality TV, they are just not inherently interesting. Which is why I think a lot of the girls on this season are very forgettable to me. But I do think the season is strong as a whole. Another thing that I liked was the life coach. I think, obviously it's no shade that, like, after, I don't know if this is completely true, but from what I understood from watching like other YouTubers who research Bad Girls Club and the show and how it went, from my understanding, after season 11 was so negatively received that they brought in a life coach to, like, soften things, like having the girls work on their issues, talk about their past trauma, their past endeavors, their past trials and tribulations. That's what that happened. But which is the same thing in season 15, only the girls who came in were working on their relationships as sisters, their relationships with each other. Which I will say, clearly this season they showed the girls who needed the help the most. Like, I think we only saw like 1 life coach session between Asia and Amber, and I want to say maybe 2 sessions between Jamie and Jazz. I don't think we saw any sessions between Allison and Melissa. The twins, the first twins that came in, they didn't stay, well, both pairs of twins, neither one of them stayed long enough for them to have a session. And I think we saw a few sessions of Liv and Diamond, but like, I feel like the season, the majority of it was spent on, the life coaching was spent on like Christina and Angela, which is completely understandable because they needed it the most out of everybody. Like, it was very clear that Christina and Angela had the most tumultuous relationship amongst the sisters in that house. Not house.
I am now going to assault your mind with subliminal messages. Sorry you had to see that.
And then my dislikes for this season in general, before I get very specific, I'll say the limo fights. Now, as somebody who is 23 years old, who does not watch Bad Girls Club anymore for like the fighting and altercations, that's not for me. I don't really care about the fights. It's not that yes, they're entertaining and they obviously catch your eye for obvious reasons, but like I'm not watching the show the same way I did when I was like 14, 15, 16. Like I'm 23. So like I care more so about the reasoning behind the altercations. Why are we disagreeing? Why are we getting into physical altercations? Like I care about the reasoning more so the drama behind it, as opposed to who has hands and who doesn't. Like I could really care less about that. And honestly, like my other Bad Girls Club honest opinion videos, I'm not gonna sit here talking about who's the better fighter, who's like, no, if that's what you came here for, go somewhere else. I'm not gonna give it to you. Sorry about it, not sorry. But yes, one of the definitely things was like the limo fights. Like this season had a lot of limo fights. And it also doesn't help that this season has, I believe, the biggest cast of girls. So like when you have 14 girls crammed into a van and a physical altercation breaks out, it's chaotic. Like it's just like a lot of limo fights, a lot of the girls like following over each other, legs flying, clothes flying, nails flying, fists flying, people falling on top of each other. Like you really can't see what's happening, so it's kind of just like chaotic. It's like sensory overload. Like I can't tell where my eyes are supposed to be looking, and I can't tell who's hitting who, why they're hitting why. Like it just didn't make sense. A lot of that didn't make sense, and I think that was I'm not gonna blame the production completely for it, but I definitely feel like at some point during the season, just because while I don't care about the altercations, the vast majority of the people who watch Bad Girls Club watch Bad Girls Club for the fighting. So like I feel like as producers, they probably knowing that your audience loves fights and they obviously want to see like who's hitting who's fighting who, they want to see the details, not talking about the audience in general. I feel like it probably would have behooved them to sit down with the girls and be like, hey, a lot of fights have been happening in the limo. Stop doing that. No more fighting in the limo. If you gotta do that, do it at home. Because the vast majority of the altercations were in the limo. And it was just too much chaos to watch. Too much chaos to watch. And then the last thing that I really did not like was the Ghost Twins, which if you have watched the season, honestly, if you watch this video, you watch the season. But as we all know, there were two sisters who were twins who were cast in the season. And I don't remember, I watched Bad Girls Club story times from girls who were on that season, and from what I understand, the two twin sisters that came in, they were on some other reality show where they admitted to like dating the same guy or having like sexual interactions with the same guy, possibly, allegedly at the same time, I believe. I'm saying allegedly, I don't want to get sued, I don't really know for certain. And I'm guessing the girls, when they found out who those girls were, they like, I guess didn't want them there. But yeah, but the girls, and then I also believe from other Bad Girls from that season, they said that like the production told them to plan a prank, and like I guess the prank that they planned initially wasn't enough in the eyes of the producers, so they kept telling them to escalate it. But like the prank was stupid.
Huh? Let's talk about that.
I mean, that's both stupid on the girls' part, but also stupid on the production's part, because the prank didn't make any sense. Like the prank, they set up like toilet paper and like a web of like mess at the front door, and then when the girls enter, they threw like flour and baby powder on them. And like that's not really a prank. That's not a prank. That's just assault. Like that's just assault. Like if someone walks into a room and then you throw something in their face and blind them, and then start yelling at them and telling them to get the F out of your house, that's not a prank. That's just assault. That's just assault. I don't know what else to say. Yeah, it's stupid. Really stupid. And I think what even made that situation even worse was, one, the girls, they attacked two girls who had only been in the house for like 30 seconds. They all pounced on them. They threw flour on them. And then after this physical altercation, we had to watch the aggressors of the situation cry and complain about how badly they're gonna look when this airs on TV. Like nobody cares. Like I don't care about Angela crying about not wanting to look like a bully. Like you assaulted someone who you didn't even know for like 5 seconds. Like they didn't even ask who the girls' names were, where they're from. Like we didn't learn any of that. Like the girls didn't have an intro because obviously the girls left the show after that and they did not want to be. I guess they tried to sue Oxygen. So like from what I understand, allegedly they tried to sue Oxygen, which is why their faces were blurred out on the screen because they didn't want to be a part of it. So like yes, but like we not only did we see two innocent people get assaulted on national TV for no reason without even getting a chance to like introduce themselves, we also had to watch the aggressors who assaulted them cry and complain about not wanting to be a bully and how badly it's gonna look. Two individuals walked into a room, you threw things at them, and then you cursed and screamed at them. That is not a prank. That is assault. I'm gonna move forward because I could talk about this all day. I don't care. All right, so usually for these seasons, I start with like the girls that I dislike the most first, and then I go to my favorites. Because there were so many girls in this season and like so many of them were like really forgettable, not that I disliked a lot of them, I just don't have strong feelings towards some of them. Like a lot of the girls in this season, because this is the largest cast, there's a lot of girls to keep track of, and a lot of them didn't make an impression on me. That's just the thing with like reality TV and like TV shows in general. The larger cast you have, the larger the cast, the harder it is to focus on individual people. So if you have a cast of 16 people on a season, it's going to be nearly impossible to give everybody the same amount of screen time. And obviously some people are going to bring more to the table and more to the show and provide more content, more entertaining and watchable content than the others. So some of these girls were just unforgettable. And if I don't speak about a girl for a long period of time, just know that I really didn't have any thoughts. Like, in the words of T Noir, who said in the words of someone else, my head is so empty I could hold my nose and fart through my ears. I have no thoughts.
I don't think so.
So first we're gonna start with the original. We're gonna start with the first twins who entered in, who left first. Forgettable, unremarkable, unentertaining. They were only there for like 2 episodes. They didn't do much. They slept for the most part. They isolated themselves. They didn't really do much. And I watched Asia from this season also did a story time, and in her story time she admitted that production told the girls to kick the twins out because Bad Girls Club is a reality TV show. They want content, and if you go to the Bad Girls Club and all you do is sleep and don't do anything, the production is going to want you to leave because they're going to say that essentially you're taking up a spot that somebody else could have occupied, you know? And I will say they were very standoffish. Like they didn't want to talk to the other girls. They didn't want to like interact with them. And I understand completely, like obviously like living in a house with like 13 other people is exhausting, especially sisters. But like you signed up for a show where you knew you were going to be living with other women. So like to come in and for the first few days just not want to interact with anybody and like just sleep in your bed, you could have stayed home for that. However, I am not by any means condoning them girls like throwing water balloons at them and spraying them with water. Like I don't condone that. Like obviously assault is assault, but like they were not interesting to watch, and the show did not lose or gain anything from their exit. Okay, next we have Allison and Melissa. Let me look at my notes here. I always try to act like I don't have notes when I do these videos, but I have notes, because if I didn't have notes, this would be chaos. So Allison and Melissa, the first thing I have written is boring, and I wrote, I have no thoughts. Because I'm not gonna read the same stuff. Allison and Melissa were just not entertaining people. They weren't bad. They weren't, well, they were kind of annoying, but they just weren't very entertaining people. Especially Melissa. Like I don't think Melissa had much screen time. Like she didn't have that many individual confessionals, and if she did, I really couldn't recount most of the things that she said. I will say that the bulk of their storyline was just the fact that they came in with Jamie and Jazz, and then similar to Janelle and Shanae on season 11, the originals liked Allison and Melissa, and they disliked Jamie and Jazz, which it was kind of like that. Their storyline was, will they or won't they be friends with Jamie and Jazz? That was their storyline. It really wasn't that interesting. They were really unentertaining people to watch. I don't hate them. I don't hate any of the girls on this. And I forgot to preface this. I don't hate any bad girl. Like, these are women. The show has been canceled. The show has been over for many, many years. These are just my opinions on what I'm seeing on an edited reality TV show. I have no personal beefs with any of the girls on this season or any season. It's nothing. And I will say that like Allison, who was more interesting out of the 2 sisters, she was doing a lot, like towards, like she kept saying, and I think one of the biggest themes for this season is, and I'll get to it more when I get to Jamie and Jazz, but like you cannot put your hands on someone just because they annoy you. Like Allison she kept talking about how Jamie and Jazz are loud and they're immature and they do too much, but like Allison and both physical altercations that she got into it with Jamie and Jazz, she initiated that. Like she stood up in Jazz's face, she bum rushed Jamie, like she initiated those altercations towards the end. So it's just like, you're calling these girls immature, but you were the one who was like initiating violence against them. So like, very childish. And I think it was good that they left. It was very obvious that like Allison was not happy, and I think it was very obvious that Melissa wanted to stay and that Allison was ready to go, but that's all I have to say about them. They weren't really entertaining people. They just weren't. They weren't. They were there. They fought, they caused some drama, I guess. I will say the last thing I will say about them, I think they definitely had a superiority complex. Did I say that correctly? I did say that correctly. They had a superiority complex because they kept talking about how like they would give Jamie and Jazz advice like, oh, you guys need to be nicer to the girls and you need to be quieter and we're trying to give you a chance to make it in this house, as if they're chaperones. Like,
listen! Listen! Listen!
ooh, this next one. Probably one of the most controversial sisters of the season. We have Liv and Diamond. Liv and Diamond are a mess. As we all know, if you watch the season, I'm not gonna stop saying that because if you're here and you didn't watch the season, why are you here? Liv and Diamond are not sisters. They are ex-girlfriends who auditioned for the show, lied to producers, lied to production, lied to the life coach, lied to the girls, and they came on the season as ex-girlfriends who pretended to be sisters. And one thing I'll say to that is that Liv and Diamond can't act. They cannot act. If you know that you guys are ex-girlfriends and you are going onto Bad Girls Club, specifically for a Bad Girls Club season that is specifically casting for sisters, the only season that has ever casted for sisters, and you know that you are not actual sisters and that you are ex-girlfriends, why are you cuddling in the bed together? Why are you dry humping in the club? Like, girl, if that's supposed to be your sister, you should not be dry humping her in the club in front of all of your castmates. And like, you can tell, like, in the other girls' confessionals were like, wow, like, Liv and Diamond are dancing really close. Like, I don't dance with my sister like that. Like, it was very clear that everybody was dancing around the word incest, because thank God they're not sisters, because it was giving very incestuous vibes. Stupid. Very stupid. Now next, let's get to the cancer situation. Let's get to Liv lying about cancer. Wow. This season was so much. I don't understand why Liv shared that information when she did not have a confirmation. So from what Liv has told us on the season, she said that she went to the doctor. They said that her cervix was severely damaged, and the doctors believed that she had stage 3 cervical cancer. However, the doctor said that they believed that she had stage 3 cervical cancer. They did not say that she had stage 3 cervical cancer. They told her to go to an oncologist and get a second opinion to find out if she had cancer. That is what she has told us. And then apparently she said she did her own research. She started believing like the worst and stuff like that. But it's just like, a doctor did not tell you that you had stage 3 cervical cancer. They made a guess, they made a hypothesis, they made an educated guess. So like, I feel like for her to come on to this season and be like, I have stage 3 cervical cancer, like she said it with such conviction, like she said it for a fact, like I have stage 3 cervical cancer, I don't want treatment, I will die before I get treatment. Like, no, that is a very bold statement to say when you do not have a concrete diagnosis from a doctor. Like, what she should have said was, I went to the doctors and they told me that they believe that I may have stage 3 cervical cancer. And they told me to go to an oncologist, but I'm too afraid to go to an oncologist. Had Liv said that, she would not have had any of the drama that she had. Had she just said that, had she just told the whole truth and been like, hey, I went to a doctor, they said that I may have stage 3 cervical cancer, however, I have not gone to an oncologist to get a second opinion and get a confirmation, but that's what's going on with me. Had she said that, the girls would have been like, oh my gosh, I'm sure they would have still cried, they still would have been upset, but like, they wouldn't have looked at her as a liar. The producers would have told her, hey, we think you should go to an oncologist, get a second opinion, and then they would have been like, oh my gosh, Liv, you don't have cancer. As opposed to her saying that she had cancer and then them having to tell her like, hey, you don't have cancer, you've never had cancer. And I definitely think that like Liv was talking, and I don't know Liv personally, but like from watching the show, she kept telling Diamond like the truth was eating her up, and like the fact that they were pretending to be sisters, which I can definitely think is very awkward, just the fact that just like you're in a house full of sisters, you're pretending to be sisters with your ex-girlfriend, and all these other sisters are having like therapy sessions and they're like putting in the work to like better their relationship, and you're like taking up a spot from someone that should belong to someone else. I can see how that is like, that would eat you up. However, I definitely feel that the fact that the other girls turned on Liv once they found that she never had cancer, that definitely, in my opinion, pushed her further to get out of the house. Like, I definitely feel like had the girls reacted positively to her finding out that she didn't have cancer, that she never had cancer, I don't think she would have wanted to leave as badly. Not saying that she would have made it to the end, because we have no way of knowing that, but I definitely think that the fact that other girls were like ostracizing her and like not wanting her in the group definitely played a part in the fact that she wanted to go home. And then last time we'll talk about Liv and Diamond. Let's talk about their whole situation, because like they fought, and like Liv and Diamond saying that like, oh, Liv, you ruined this for me, and yada yada yada, and you lied, and yada yada. This is what I'm gonna say. They are both adults. They both agreed to the plan. Like Olivia agreed to the plan. She agreed to go on national TV with her ex-girlfriend and pretend to be sisters for a Bad Girls Club sister season. They both did that. With that being said, I see both sides of the situation. I understand the fact that Liv was unhappy in that situation. She's not happy. The other girls don't like her anymore because of the cancer thing. She's being ostracized. She's being sequestered in this Bad Girls Club house along with everybody else. Like, she's unhappy. She wants to go home. I definitely understand that. However, I also understand Diamond, who I guess is a DJ, and she like went on Bad Girls Club to like further her career. And Diamond is like, you know, don't ruin this for me. Like, just stick it out. I understand both things, because the fact that Olivia outed them as like not being sisters on national TV, that is very embarrassing. Like, I was cringing. Like, honestly, Olivia and Diamond were just very cringing. And even me watching this, like, and this is my third time watching BGC 15 all the way through, like, their whole storyline was very cringy. And I can understand why Diamond was mad. Like, she was like, just go home. Like, leave me alone. But it's a sister season. It is a sister season where the purpose is for you to work on your sisterhood. So if Olivia leaves, you gotta leave with her, Diamond. And I definitely think that towards the end, Diamond definitely came off as very thirsty and like fame hungry, because the fact that like everybody knew that they were not sisters anymore, and then Diamond like still went with them to the club, knowing that like it just looked very like, okay, well, I know I'm not a sister, I don't have a sister here, but I still want to be in the clique, so I'm going to tag along to the club. Like, it looked very thirsty. And I think the ending to their story is very sad. Just the fact that they got into a physical altercation and like domestic violence, regardless of the genders, whether it's a same-sex relationship, it is still domestic violence. The fact that they got into a fight at the reunion is very sad in itself, but their storyline was cringy AF. They don't know how to act. And honestly, I understand Diamond's frustration with Olivia, but like, if you didn't want to be embarrassed, and if you knew that Olivia was cracking under the pressure and that she was wanting to tell the truth, I personally would have left the show. I would have left the show before Olivia had a chance to expose us to the producers on national TV as not being sisters. With that being said, it made a fantastic moment, made great TV, and I lived it. I ate it up. Next.
Right there, what I'm saying, we can bring it on down. Something about you, I can bring it on down.
So next we have Angela and Christina, and I definitely think that like, Angela and Christina definitely got the most hate out of the season, just because Jamie and Jazz were the favorites, and they were like pretty much like Jamie and Jazz's, along with Amber and Asia, they were like their main antagonists of the season. I think maybe it's just because like I've already seen the season, and like I didn't really have an extreme negative reaction to Christina and Angela as I did. I still didn't agree with a lot of things that they did on the season, but I didn't have an extreme negative reaction. I definitely think that Angela came off still very unlikable. Just the fact that she was always very negative, and she kept talking about how she was jealous of like Christina's relationship with like Asia, but like Angela, you keep telling Christina that you hate her. You keep telling Christina that you don't want to be her sister. You keep telling Christina that she's a mess, and that she looks a mess, and that she has a butt chin, and that she needs to get it together, and she looks a fool, and she's drunk. And I don't understand how Angela can be confused about Christina gravitating to someone else when you're constantly being negative towards her. Like, you can't continuously insult somebody and then wonder why they bond with someone else. It doesn't make sense. With that being said, I think Christina is very funny. I think on the season, Christina was very funny. I think her relationship with Asia was really beautiful, and I think it was really nice that she like found someone else, but yeah, no. But I didn't really have a huge disagreement. Like, obviously Angela was pretty much like a villain on this season. Like, she did a lot of things wrong, like hitting someone in the face with a glass and almost cutting their eye, and then doubling down on cutting their eye. Very messed up. And I know that she's apologized now, and she's like done a story time about the season and like gotten over it, but like it was very not a good look for her. However, to Christina and Angela's credit, I will say that their storyline was very engaging, and I think it was very refreshing to see a raw and intense storyline on Bad Girls Club that does not include continuous fighting. Like the fact that they were like having an emotional drama between themselves as sisters was very entertaining for me as a viewer and as a watcher. And I think that they were very raw and authentic. And like I think Angela had a very good point when she told like Diamond and Olivia, like, you guys pretend to be sisters. Like me and Christina, like when we're fighting, this is real. Like this is not us pretending for cameras. We are really fighting and going through issues and like trying to save our relationship. So the fact that they were so raw and authentic was very, very refreshing to see. But they definitely had their flaws. I think I'm indifferent. I think I definitely like Christina more than Angela, but like I don't have an extreme negative reaction that I did when I first watched the season the first 2 times. And I will say that they definitely shifted blame a lot on the season. Like Angela blaming Hanan and Susu for ruining her birthday. But like, no, like you were rude to them. You asked them what their names were, and then when they told you what their names were, you told them that you didn't give an F. And then you threw a glass at someone's face. You cut someone's eye with the glass, which is the reason why you were kicked out of the Baggers Clubhouse. Like, you didn't have to throw that glass. Security was like taking you away. Like, you didn't have to throw that glass. So I think it's very unfair for Angela to blame Hanan and Susu for ruining her birthday. If anything, I mean, obviously she can't say it on camera. Like, you obviously can't criticize the production that is like filming you and editing you on national television. But like, if anyone Angela should be mad at, she should be mad at the BGC producers, because the producers did it on purpose. They brought 2 new girls in on her birthday. They introduced these new girls at a bar, not in the house, at a bar. And I have a feeling, if I had to guess, my hypothesis is that the BGC producers told Hanan and Susu to go over there and like talk to the girls, but wait, tell them that they are the new replacements. Because had Hanan and Susu been like, hey, we're the replacements, the other girls would have been like probably upset, but it would have made more sense, as opposed to Hanan and Susu coming off as 2 random girls following them and trying to hijack their barcicle trip. And then as far as Christina like deflecting blame, particularly I'm talking about the limo fight where like Christina like told Jasmine to shut the F up, and then she tried to choke Jasmine. Like, I'll get into it when I get to Jamie and Jazz, but like that was not okay with me. And like once again, the girls are calling Jamie and Jazz inappropriate and immature, but like y'all are putting your hands on them. Like Jamie and Jazz, very seldom did they swing first in the house. So like, just because someone annoys you does not mean you can put your hands on them. Okay, so next we have Amber and Asia, who were okay. Once again, a lot of girls, not a lot of memorability, not a lot of strong feelings. Like, I just feel like the girls in this season, like, I didn't have a strong opinion on them. They just were doing what they were doing. Amber and Asia were okay. I think Asia's definitely more entertaining than Amber. Like, Amber is a very reserved person, at least that's how she came off on the TV, on the show. Asia's a more extroverted person, which they've both been vocal about, so like, Asia was more entertaining to watch. They were okay sisters. I definitely think that once again, they were the ones putting their hands on Jamie and Jasmine first. And they were definitely hypocrites. Like, obviously, Baggers Club is very petty. And one thing I will say, like, I'm not going to go through the season and dissect it second by second and episode by episode by saying, like, oh, Jamie and Jazz started this, and Amber and Asia started this. Like, at this point, it's just, the waters are so muddy, who gives a F? Like, they both sides did petty things. However, I will say they're hypocrites. Like, especially when, like, Amber, like, got the very first limo fight with Jamie and Jazz. Amber was, like, super upset when Jamie was like, that we fought, and then Amber was like, I didn't put my hands on either one of you. Okay, Amber, you didn't put your hands on them the first time, but you got up in the limo in an enclosed space, and then you charged at Jazz and you said, shut the F up. Regardless if you put your hands on somebody, if you get up and you charge at somebody and you aggressively scream, shut the F up, they are going to be on the defense. They are going to feel threatened, and they are going to feel like they have to defend themselves, because you don't do that. Like, obviously, Jamie pushed her, because if I'm sitting with my brother and some dude runs up at him and yells, shut the F up, I am going to defend my brother and push him away, because you're coming off as a threat. On top of that, they definitely instigated things, like, especially with, like, the hiding of Jamie's makeup. While the girls just kept saying, I think the producers definitely liked Jamie and Jazz, which is very obvious because they were the stars of the season. They carried the entire season. If it was not for them, the season would be boring. But I definitely think, like, they instigated a lot of things. And, like, from what we showed, from the edit, what we saw, the majority of the time, it was like the girls going out of their way to antagonize Jamie and Jazz, looking them up and down when they enter a room, rolling their eyes when they say something, hiding their makeup, breaking their Barbie dolls. Like, the girls were like going out of their way to mess with these two individuals, so it looks like bullying. It looks like harassment. Like, that's how it was coming off. But overall, I'm indifferent. I'm sorry, y'all. I'm indifferent. Like, it was just a lot of... Season 15 was entertaining, but it was chaotic. It was entertaining chaos, but it was chaos nonetheless. But yeah, Asia was alright. Amber was still kind of boring. But I will say that on reality TV, you do need a straight man. Like, you need somebody who is level-headed and calm to level out and balance out the more outlandish personalities. Okay, now we're down to the last two. So, my second favorite.
That's good. Very good.
Hanan and Susu. Hanan and Susu were very good for the show. I think Hanan and Susu came right at the perfect time during the season, and I definitely think that, like, Amber said it best when she said that they got exactly what they wanted, especially with Jamie and Jazz, like, cause they kicked out the first twins because they were boring, and then they kicked out the second twins because they didn't like them. So they said that, and like Asia said it herself, we could switch y'all out for someone more funner. She literally said more funner. So they got two new replacement. They got a bunch of replacements who were like hype. Hanan and Susu were okay. They definitely, like, I definitely think that Hanan and Susu came at the perfect time because it was very obvious that, like, when Hanan and Susu came, the original girls who were obviously they had been in the house for like 2 months. So they were obviously over the Bad Girls Club experience, and it was very obvious that the OGs were just tired. They were tired of fighting, they were tired of screaming, they were tired of like doing the stuff, like they want to go home. So like Hanan and Susu definitely brought a breath of fresh air. Also, we're not going to blow past the fact that Hanan said the N-word at the reunion. Y'all know how to feel about that. It's not okay. Not feeling it. No. And then the last two things I'll say about Hanan and Susu, they did jump. There was a lot of jumping. Like whenever Hanan would swing, Susu would sing. And they were jumping. And you know, I'm not okay with jumping. I get it, people said that there's no rules to fighting, but you shouldn't jump people. Like 2-on-1 is very unfair. Secondly, and last but not least, I definitely think Hanan and Susu, as entertaining as they were, they did come off a tinge bit try hard. And by that, I think like Hanan and Susu, obviously they had watched Bad Girls Club before. So like, I think Hanan and Susu were anticipating the girls like trying them more, like especially because they were replacements. Like, how many times have we seen replacements come into Bad Girls Club and they get their stuff destroyed or thrown in the pool or jumped or locked out, and the list goes on and on and on. I definitely think Hanan and Susu, like Hanan even said in her confessional, like, I'm a replacement. We just came in here. Run me, check me, try me. Like, I definitely think they wanted the girls to be more aggressive and to like try to like bully them. Like, they wanted conflict, which I guess I can understand. Like, I guess if you finally get on Bad Girls Club, like, and you want to have that Bad Girls Club experience where you're fighting and drinking and getting into beef, you obviously want that. But like, I definitely think that Hanan and Susu were like low-key disappointed that the girls were not giving them, like, were not being aggressive with them. Like, they definitely said that they wanted the conflict, like they wanted someone to beat them. Like, they were like, I'm bored, like, try me. And the other girls just didn't want to do it for whatever reason. I'm not going to say anybody was scared or who, because y'all know how fans are feeling about that. But I definitely think the original girls were like tired. They were tired of fighting. They were tired of the drama. Hanan and Susu definitely helped Jamie and Jazz carry the second half of the season. Because thank God for Hanan and Susu, because Jamie and Jasmine needed to sit down and rest their backs because they were carrying the entire season. Next.
No, did she just...
Alright, last but not least, we got Jamie and Jazz. Jamie and Jazz, who, once again, the fan faves of the season, the best ones. They carried the entire season. They were funny. They were amazing. With that being said, while I loved Jamie and Jasmine, and I think that they are reality TV gold, and honestly, if Baddies on Zeus, as much mess as I talked about the first season, if Baddies comes back and they put Jamie and or Jazz on the season, I will watch. I will watch. And I think as entertaining as Jamie and Jasmine are, and as much as I believe that they are born for reality TV, I can recognize that I probably would not want to live with them. Now, do I think that I would have fun going out with them and twerking and partying and drinking at a bar? Absolutely. but I definitely don't think that I would like enjoy living with Jamie and Jasmine. Like, I am somebody who, I enjoy peace and quiet. I don't like people coming home being loud. I definitely think that like Jamie and Jazz came off as trifling. I would say Jamie came off as trifling when she threw up in the bathroom and then was like, it's not a big deal, I'll clean it up later. Like, no. Especially because the girls explained that is their only bathroom. And like Asia was just like, oh well, if I wanted to walk through here barefoot, I can't. Like, that doesn't, no. Like, forget the walking barefoot. Like, no one cares about that. That's not important. That's not important. The fact is vomit. Like, it's unsanitary and it stinks. Like, vomit has a very distinct smell, a very nasty, stomach acidy smell. It's gross. So, like, I feel like Asia should have just been like, it stinks. Well, she did say that it stunk, but like, her saying like, if I wanted to walk in here barefoot, like, who cares? Who cares? No. I don't care about walking through my bathroom barefoot. I don't want vomit there because the vomit stinks. And I think for Jamie to be like, oh my gosh, like, I'll clean it up later, is very messed up. And I mean, she did clean it up, but like for her to be like, y'all irking the mess out of me, like, no. And on top of that, like the other girls, they got them drunk. Like, they purposely got Jamie and Jasmine drunk and were taking fake shots of water. So like, obviously, like, you get somebody drunk and you load them up with shots, they could possibly throw up. So like, I feel like that's also kind of karma on the girls, because like, you got them drunk and then they threw up. So like, you kind of reap what you sow. And once again, Jamie and Jasmine, one thing I appreciate about them is the fact that not only did they stand on their own, but they kept like, yes, obviously Jamie, you can go back in the season, you can find instances where Jamie and Jasmine like antagonize things and instigate things, but for the most part, Jamie and Jasmine were reacting. Like, the girls were putting their hands on Jamie and Jasmine first. The girls were touching Jamie and Jasmine's stuff first. Like, the girls were attacking Jamie and Jazz, and Jamie kept saying like, I don't like y'all, but I don't have to fight y'all. Like, if y'all don't like me, don't hang out with me. Very, very valid. Just because someone annoys you does not mean you can put your hands on them. Like, Jamie and Jasmine had a very good message. Like, they're gonna do them, y'all do y'all. Stay away from them. And it definitely and obviously Bad Girls Club is like a different experience because you're being forced to live with people that you normally wouldn't live with. You're being forced to live in a shared home and a shared space with people that you just met. So obviously trying to ignore somebody that you don't like is gonna be a lot harder because you're forced to live in a house with them. But like, at the same time, Jamie and Jasmine were right. Like, if you don't like us, don't hang out with us. Because they weren't worried. Like, Jamie and Jasmine stuck to themselves the entire time. They hung out with Hanan and Susu. They went out to clubs and bars by themselves. Like, they did not need the other girls. So yeah, that's what I like about them. And honestly, while Jamie, as great as Jamie, and once again, I know I just said that the BGC 15 is, in my opinion, I think right now is the best season post season 11. I definitely think that like, we needed more, like BGC 15 needed more memorable cast members to carry the season. Because Jamie and Jasmine carried the majority of the season. And even though Hanan and Susu came in late and did a great job, like, I feel like Hanan and Susu, I feel like season 15 would have been a lot better had Hanan and Susu and Jamie and Jasmine came in together and then they could have saved Melissa and Allison. To be honest, they didn't need Melissa and Allison, but they had to bring Melissa and Allison. They could have brought Melissa and Allison in as a last replacements. I think that would have made a much better season. But we got the season that we got. I'm not 100% upset with it. With that being said, that's my opinions. That's what I think about BGC 15. Honestly, to summarize BGC 15, Jamie and Jasmine walked in and the other girls were like,
You're behind all this?
with that being said, that's the end of this video. I hope you guys enjoyed it. These are just my opinions. I hope you found this entertaining and good and yada yada yada. Once again, I'm sorry for going on hiatus and not having a video out for you guys. I will try to do better. I had a lot going on, but you know, I'm getting things on track and I'm getting myself together, so hope you enjoyed it. With that being said, that is the end of this video. My name is Cameron Noel. Make sure you like, comment, subscribe, and hit that bell notification down below so that you get notified when I upload new videos. Also, make sure you give this video a big thumbs up. It helps me so much and it gets my videos out there to more people so that we can get a bigger viewing audience and that we can have more discussions and more people in the conversation. And I will see you guys in the next video. Peace.
Boy toy named Troy used to live in Detroit. Big dope dealing money, he was getting some coins. Wasn't shootouts with the law, but he lived in a palace.